Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Artika Valentine, and I would like to welcome you to the Q&A session for the Faculty of Science. You have the numbers, so please send us your questions. We received a number of questions already, which I will go through with you. So, just to remind you, the Faculty of Science has minimum admission requirements, but we also use selection requirements for admission and selection purposes. So please check our guideline documents for those selection requirements. So to go just through some of the questions that we already received, you will have 3 applications or 3 options for applications, and those 3 options, it is advised that you select 3 different programs. So within a program we have similar focal areas, but those focal areas have exactly the same selection criteria. Just for example, so if you have within human life sciences, the selection cutoff is 80%, that's 80% aggregate. And so the focal area with biology and the focal area with biology with psychology has the same selection requirement. So when you add these, or when you add a human life science focal area to your application, choose another option in the same focal area. You choose different. If you have an interest in a particular subject, you can contact us so that I can give you other programs where similar subjects are offered in. But the same program with different focal areas has all the same selection requirements. Then there's a question about Cambridge curriculum and the AS and A levels or IGCSE levels. So for science programs, the Cambridge curriculum is considered as one of the international curricula. So you are expected, for any program, we require mathematics, physics, and chemistry for our biological programs at least a AS or A level. All right, and then the English language or the language could be at an IGCSE level. For mathematical sciences and computer science, we only require mathematics at AS or A level if you do not intend to do physics or chemistry at university level. So that's very important. That's a question about the Cambridge curriculum. Then there are questions about bridging programs or people that do not have physics or do not have physical science at school level. So very importantly, for the Faculty of Science, our minimum admission criteria are quite strict, and it says you require mathematics, you require physical sciences for biological sciences and physical science, and if you did not do these subjects at school level, you will not be considered. So your application will be marked as unsuccessful even in the review stage. Unfortunately, the university or the Faculty of Science does not offer any bridging programs for physics or chemistry, physical science or mathematics, and it's important that you do these subjects at school level to make sure that you meet the minimum admission requirements. So that's a question about bridging programs. Then there's a question about computer science and the focal area of data science and the BDAT side. So in our computer science program, it's a 3-year program. We have 3 focal areas, and that's the general computer science with a variety of subjects where computer science is your first major and different other subjects can become your second major to graduate in. Then we have a focal area in computer systems and a focal area in data science. After this 3-year program, you can do an honors program, and this is different from the BDAT-SCI, which is a 4-year program, which include a 4th year that is equal to an honors program. So that's the difference between BDAT-SCI and the BSc Computer Science. Then there's a question about changing between programs. So we do allow changes at this stage of the application process. If your application has not been reviewed, you can still make changes to it. The moment that it has been reviewed, you have to send an email to info@sun.ac.za so that they can make changes for you. And then you will go through a selection process, and the faculty will consider you or make an offer. If you were marked unsuccessful during the selection stage, you will not be allowed to make any changes, or the Faculty of Science will not change your program after that. So that's final. If, however, you go through your exams and you get to January and now your marks are meeting our requirements, then you can submit a request again for us to reconsider you for the program that you are interested in. That's a formal process where you submit a request to the faculty, and the link for that particular request will become available early in January. Okay, let me just check on some of the questions. It's coming in quite fast and furious. I can unfortunately not answer any questions about funding. I cannot answer any questions on residences. So please keep those questions for the sessions where it is applicable. Then I'm also kindly requesting that you do not make any video calls or WhatsApp calls, because we cannot take your calls. We can only take your messages. There's a question about forensic pathology. So in the Faculty of Science, we do not offer a specific program in forensic sciences, but the subjects that forms part of forensic sciences are offered in biodiversity and ecology, it's offered in BSc Human Life Sciences, it's offered in molecular biology and biotech, in the BSc Physics, in BSc Chemistry, in BSc Earth Sciences. So in many of our programs, the subjects that form part of forensics are offered with us. Then there are a question about life science without physical science. So for the Faculty of Science, our programs require physical science and it requires mathematics, not mathematics literacy. So if you have only life science and you want to study a program in biological sciences, or you want to study a program in physical sciences, then unfortunately you will not be considered. Then there's questions about the modules of sport science and admin. So our program in sport is a BSc in sport sciences. So it's not sport management and it's not sport admin. It's the sport science, where your one major subject in there is physiology and your other major subject will be sport science as such. So no management in that regard. Then I just want to talk you through the process that follows. So we have different phases in the selection process. First, in our first phase, we consider applicants with aggregates above 90. So those applicants will soon get an offer. We completed our first round of selection. And then the second round, we look at applicants with 80% plus. And then after the 31st of July, we look at the big pool of applicants that meet our selection requirements. I would like to emphasize that we have selection requirements. So in our implementation document that is on the website, on the application portal as well, you will find the selection requirements for each and every program, and that is what we use for selection. To make an example, for BSc Computer Science, this year our selection cutoff is a selection score of 80%, which means that if you have a 75% average, you will unfortunately not get an offer at this stage. Then we issue offers for all of the programs. If you meet our requirements, we issue an offer for the program where you meet the requirements. After or before 30th of September, you have to select only one program. If you select one program, you accept that offer. And if you accepted the offer, that is the program which you will, in January, when your school leaving results are available, you have to meet the selection requirements again to get a final offer. All right? So if the selection cutoff for computer science is 80 now, you will get an offer if you meet that requirements. You accept the offer by 30 September. You have to meet the selection requirements again in January, and if it meets the 80%, then you will get a final offer. If you did not meet that selection requirements, unfortunately, you will be waitlisted, and if the faculty has space available, we will look at the wait list later. So people are asking when they will hear from us with regards to the application. So like I explained, in our first round, we look at 90% aggregates. Then the second round, from June onwards, we look at the 80% aggregates. And after July, we look at the big pool of applicants meeting our selection requirements. So you might get, if you above 90%, you will get within the next few weeks, you will get an offer if your application has been submitted early. Then there's a question about rewrites and people that apply. So on the university application portal, you apply in a specific category if you repeat grade 12. So if you have to rewrite now, submit your application, you select repeating grade 12. So in that category, the faculty will give you waitlist status. And then as soon, I think your marks, if you write now, your marks will be available in August. If you have those results, you submit it to info@sun, and the faculty will be able to consider you late August or start of September during those selection rounds, and to see if you will get an offer. So that's for people that apply. Then there's another thing with regards to people with special needs. So in the faculty, it is very important that you declare the special needs. People with special needs and disabilities will get a waitlist status, and they are expected to set up a meeting with us so that we can determine your specific needs and determine whether it will be feasible for us and for you to study at this institute for your particular program that you are interested in. Then there's a question, how difficult is the BSc courses? So obviously you're currently in matric, so none of it is too difficult for anyone that is able to pass the matric. And if you get an offer from us, then we think that you are prepared and that you are able to master and the specific program. Sorry. And then there's a question about admission criteria again. So people that studied at another university doing a different qualification, it's a diploma, and the question is, will we consider those results for admission? So unfortunately not. The faculty only considers school leaving results. Diploma, higher certificate, or any other thing will be considered after admission and after your registration to determine whether we can give you recognition and exemption of modules that is offered in our curriculum. But for admission purposes, you have to meet the minimum admission requirements with your school leaving results. If you're missing that, then unfortunately we will not consider any of your higher education results. Then there's a question about electives, focal area, and courses. So our programs are structured in such a way that we have programs in biological sciences, we have programs in physical sciences, and then we have programs in mathematical sciences and our interdisciplinary programs. And within each program, there's a structured curriculum, and some programs have different focal areas. And a focal area has a certain compulsory modules, and then there are certain elective modules. So it depends on what the program is that you are interested in, There are compulsory modules in a program, and there are also options for you to select different modules in the program. And then there's a question about whether it will be possible to switch between programs after registration. So if you have an offer from us, then it is possible to change your program. We are always willing if you are meeting the requirements of the program that you're interested in. After school leaving results and you received a final offer, and you still consider to change, we have a formal process where you submit a request for a program change. And then we issue you a new offer if you meet the requirements of that particular program. So it is possible to change the program. Even within our registered students also change their programs from time to time. So there's a question that somebody has been rejected based on the grade 11 results, and what will happen if the grade 12 results are now better. So what will happen is that your grade 11 results, you received an unsuccessful, right, status. And now your grade 12 results are better and you are meeting that requirement. It is important that so when you apply, you should apply for a program that you at least meet the minimum requirements. And so that you can get an offer for that particular program. If you did not get an offer and all of your programs is unsuccessful, in January, you have to go through the request process where you're asked to be reconsidered for the program. And you have to make sure that your results, your updated results, are reflecting on your application portal, so that when the faculty consider or do reconsiderations, your new results are visible to us. Okay, so I have an international question for somebody from USA, and how does the school results work? So on the 13th of May, there's a session particularly for international students. So I suggest that you join that particular session for all of your questions. We also have a booklet with the admission criteria for international applicants, which you can also check on the application portal. So somebody's asking, when is the status going to change? Okay, so you submit your application, then it must be reviewed, and then the faculty will consider your application. The faculty will only consider your application in the different phases. So if you are above 90% or above 80%, you will be considered before June. If your aggregates are meeting the selection requirements, then you will be considered after the 31 July closing date of the applications. So for now, some of you that are just meeting the selection requirements will have to wait a little bit longer after the closing date before your status will change from review to one of the selection, either selected, where you have a conditional offer, or unsuccessful, where you did not meet the selection requirements. Then there's a question, a very good question. It's somebody saying that he has 3 offers in 3 different faculties, and what now? So yes, what now? Because you can do any of those 3. It is up to you to make the decision on which program you accept the offer. And we are quite strict on it because we have a high number of applicants and we have high number of conditional offers that we issue. So if you decline the offer, we will not reissue that offer, and we will tell you to submit a request for reconsideration in January. Or if you allowed that offer to expire after 30th of September, then we will not reissue any expired offers. This is very important. We have quite a number of applicants, and we do not reissue expired offers. So if you have an offer for the faculty, accept that offer. We can always change the program where you accept the offer for, but an expired offer or a rejected or declined offer, we will not reissue until you submit a request in January for reconsideration. So there's another question about provisional offers. Yes, the provisional offer or conditional offer will be valid until 30 September. Thereafter, it will say expire, and then we don't look at it because we don't reissue expired offers. After 30 September, if we still continue and we haven't reached our targets, we can still go through more rounds of selection. And then if you receive an offer from us, that offer is valid for 3 days. The same with your final offer that you will get after final school leaving results are available. That offer is valid for 3 days. And in the Faculty of Science, there's no reissuing of offers. So you are expected to submit a request for reconsideration. Then there's the process of reconsideration. So from the 2nd of January, on the Faculty of Science website, on the application portal or on the university website, the link will become available where you submit your request for reconsideration. That link is not available at the moment. Something which I did not touch on and where I did not receive any questions on is the extended curriculum programs that we offer. So that programs are not open for application. So people who got an offer from us, a conditional offer, they accepted that offer, but now they miss our requirements to register in January with the final results. Those people will have an opportunity to be considered for the extended curriculum program. The extended program is exclusively for certain socioeconomic groups that fall into certain categories, and it's not open for all applicants at all. Then there's another question about NBT results, the National Benchmarking Test. So the Faculty of Science does not use NBT results. You do not have to write it for a program for science. We exclusively use your grade 11 results or your school leaving results, depending on what you're currently doing. Okay, then there's another question on NBTs. I just answered you. There's a question whether we distinguish between South African citizens and international applicants. We do not distinguish. We don't know who is coming from where. We only look at your results for consideration, and we use a selection score that we calculate by using double your mathematics marks and 5 other subjects, and of which and if you have more than 5 school subjects, we use the best. But from that best 5, physical science must be 1, your mathematics mark is double, and the language must be the other one. There's some confusion about the offers, so we will issue offers now, and we will continue to do so until September. By the 30th of September, those offers, if you did not accept it, it will expire. After 30 September, we might consider to still look at further selection rounds, and in that case, those offers are only valid for 3 days. If you have any further questions, you can email us at science@sun.ac.za. I thank you for joining us tonight. We would welcome any further questions, but our time is now up. Thank you and have a good evening. Goodbye.